Everyone for joining for another book review. Uh, Today we have Power of Regret. It seems a lot more contrarian. I've been going through this book. I've not heard of the book. I've heard of Dan Pink, but I've never heard of the book. So after Xavier talked about it, I thought I'll go through it. I will see what it is. And I went through some of the topics and some of the reviews and everything. And then, like, it is interesting how Dan Pink, the author, is talking about it and how we can use it. Because for me, one of the thing is, in one time somebody asked to Steve Jobs, of all the things that Apple did, do you have any regrets of the earlier things? And he said, regrets is a killer. And I have donated all of those things to the museum, Stanford Museum, I think, Computer Museum, and I'm not going to look back. So here is the juxtaposition here, so to speak. Looking back probably will kill some of the things about the future. But now Dan Pink is a researcher, well researching author. He's saying there is power in looking back and regret. So let's see what's going to come in from Xavier on this. Over to you, Xavier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. And hello, everybody. Thanks for joining Saturday evening. So I'll open up with the question. Okay. Regret is an emotion that everybody feels, definitely will feel us. So I just want to go around the table and ask, what is your greatest regret? Starting with Joseph.
Probably now greatest regret is not having read this particular book. No, see, I used to have quite a lot of regrets. As I said, it used to be constraining me. Oh, this could have. So there are two regrets, right? One of the type of regret is totally beyond my control. I could have been born here. It would have been nice if it was this. All of those things which is beyond your control. I could have born in the US, right? So those are beyond your control kind of regrets. The second type of regrets is what actions I've done or not done. I shouldn't have done this. I should have done this kind of a thing, right? For me, it is not a regret as a matter of it chokes me kind of a thing. As I said, I've kind of gotten out of it. But for me, one of the thing is, when I was in Belgium, I had the opportunity to set up a company there and settle down. I delayed it so much. 5 years I delayed. Not 1 or 2 days. I procrastinated for 5 years, and I had paid the lawyer. All of those things were done, and as life would have it, certain things changed, and I had to come back. And I'm here. So that's one thing that I always think about. Maybe I should have been fast enough. So that I would say is one of my regrets.
Anybody else?
I think this is Padma here. And Joseph mentioned in the beginning, I think I grew to not want to regret about anything, or it just became my personality. I never regret. And I feel like that is a strong suit that I have that has helped me move on with life and a lot of things. I was a young mom, right? And then I'm like, oh, I lost my 20s. I think that was the biggest thought process in me. But then soon people kind of, as like now people get married late and everything, and when they have later kids, they are always like, Padma, you did a good thing. You got married at a young age, you had kids, now you're like a free bird. So I always feel like the grass is greener on the other side for everybody. So and I've heard this even at like 25, like 30, when my cousins are like in their 30s and having kids. So I feel like every single thing, if you look from a different perspective, it gives you a clarity in life. So I feel like I don't have any regrets. But if we start thinking, even when like I didn't know this topic before you started. So I was like, um, in a, as kids also, we all like, we didn't do this, we didn't do that, but everything comes after we are 40. Because when my parents wanted me to learn Hindi, I did not. When they wanted me to learn singing, I did not. Like, I broke everything in the middle. But there was only one thing I wanted to learn, um, is Bharatanatyam, and I did not. So, I mean, if you start doing that and then having a blame game, you could have forced me and all those things. It's just that you have so much resentment within yourself. So I'm like really curious to know why this author is saying that it's okay to have regrets. So let's hear it from you, I guess.
Sure. Okay, probably I'll let others chip in when they're ready. One of the questions that you brought in was, why did Daniel Pink choose regret as an topic for a book? He did a study. He did two studies. One was the American Regret Survey, and one was the Worldwide Regret Survey, where people, he had it online. I'll probably share the link later. He had this a couple of questions that people had to fill up over what was their greatest regret. And he collected all those inputs. I think he collected more than 5,000 in US and over 10 to 12,000 the worldwide, and he collated all that, and he found a couple of common themes that were there. And so then he started writing about this book. So typically from childhood, we have been told that don't regret anything. Regret is something that it's a negative emotion. So you should not be regretting anything. As you said, regret is something that we stay away from. We feel that it is something that is barrier to being happy. But the way that he tells us, regret is also if it is done right. That's the core idea of this book. If done right, regret can help us achieve more. So that's what he kind of tells it. Instead of it being a word or an emotion that is negatively tinged, let's look at it from a positive aspect and accept that we have regrets. Everybody has regrets, and how we can move forward towards it. So that's something that he kind of talks about more. So just since I just wanted to ask others if they have any regrets and what are their thoughts on it, on this topic.
I would really like to know from Arpadaraj and Joyce.
Yeah. For me, I think it is kind of part and parcel of things. So it will definitely help us. Many times I would say that it has helped me in the way that I look at it and I see that how I don't repeat it again. And as said by Jude also, that some regrets are not really worth it, where you don't really know what would have happened. You might have thought that, for example, if when I had an opportunity when I was 20 years old, when that time, if I would have moved to US, then what would have happened? What could have been the resultant of that is something absolutely uncertain. So that is not a regret. That's more of a thing that it's not thinking about only. But other than that, there are so many other places where I felt that I could have done better, and then I use that for making sure that it doesn't happen again in future. I think that is the positive part of that. And other than that, there are many bits and pieces of regret which keeps coming along the way. But then I think that is fine, because each and every one of us will have it along the way, and that kind of as a part of life. I think that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so to me, I have my own definition of regret. So to me, regret is something that you're upset for a long time because you did something and that's upsetting you for a long time. When you asked the question, when Xavier asked the question first, I was thinking, what did upset me for a long time? I couldn't find the answer actually, because a simple example is I have a habit of if I go and present anywhere, I have a habit of audio recording it, or if possible, video recording it, and then I have top 3 things that I should do better. So for those things, it's not a regret to me in any such things, right? It's not a regret to me. It's kind of a possibility to learn or possibility to get better. So I don't think that is a regret. So as I said, like for me, the definition of, at least I have my own definition of regret. Regret is something that upsets me a long term, and I couldn't think of one when you asked that question. Because I also feel as you grow old and get matured, in early stages it may be right, like as Joseph also said, like I could have born there, I could have born here, and all would have come to your thoughts. But as you grow old and get matured, you think that these are the possibilities and these things happens. You have to grow along with it, and you have to pass through it, and this too shall pass. Yeah, that's how you take your life. So I couldn't find I couldn't remember any regrets that I had.
Yeah, that
I
is.
think, to add to her thought process, sorry to take your time off. I think the biggest regret when people talk about regret is when you're in your deathbed and you look back, what you really miss doing or what you did not get to do. I feel like that is what is regret. And that is what this author is trying to say is, did you live a fulfilling life? And what do you quantify that as? I mean, that to throw, my perspective. So, Joyce was saying she had her own definition, but I think predominantly is when you look back and you are like, okay, I'm going to die, but I didn't do this. I did all these things, but I didn't do this for myself. And I think that is where we all have to think.
Yeah, that brings a good point here. Okay,
Xavier, if I may add.
Yeah.
Yes, Xavier.
Go ahead.
While Joyce was explaining, I remembered, or rather, a thought came into my mind. Probably regret comes in only when we have options. When we don't have options, there is no regret. I mean, that's all I could do. So in that particular sense, the schools that I chose, it was not a regret because I didn't choose. My dad chose. He said, this is where you need to go. And I went. There was not a choice.
Okay.
But when you have a choice, then when the choice works out really well, you think, oh, okay, this is fantastic. When it doesn't work out, oh my God, I should have taken that particular choice. Right?
Yeah.
So in that particular sense, for me, regret is kind of a privilege. Only when you are privileged, you have options, and only when you have options, you can have regret. So which means it's kind of a privilege. Otherwise, I mean, poor, in my opinion, like, I mean, if there are so many other places where I don't have any regrets because I didn't have any choice. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the way I am looking at it. At least that's the insight that came to me now.
Yeah.
Joseph, from what you said, I'm sorry. From what you said, knowledge gives regret, because if you don't know something, you don't have regret, right? You said that, but you picked a different thing. But choice. You said choice, but I think it's knowledge of this and that, and then if you didn't know, ignorance is bliss. That's why they say that, because if you don't know, you're not going to regret at all. But if you know there is something else that exists on the other side, and you didn't get to do it, that is what is going to cause you the regret. So I feel like knowledge.
Wonderful. So let's give it back to Xavier. Let him not regret. So giving us the option. So yes, go ahead, Xavier.
No, just coming to what Joyce and Padma had mentioned about regrets on deathbeds and all that, right? So if you think about it, when we think about our past, it's only the things that are negative that are on top of our mind. It's not the happy things that are, as you said, somebody is on their deathbed. They look at things, okay, hey, I did this well. No, they look at, oh, I did not do this. I could have been a better father. I could have been a better husband, or I could have been a better person. So that's something that we tend to think of, because I don't know, maybe it's human nature that we all think of negative things when we think about the past, no, rather than the positive things. I think that's something that we might want to explore some other day. But if you look at it, if you look at regrets as a option, especially for how Daniel tries to put it, as he looks at it as two ways. You can look at it as a positive emotion or a negative emotion. And the thing is, how you look at it positively is he uses the word at least. So when Joseph was saying that he did not have a choice, right? He did not have a choice. But if he had a choice and it worked out well, he could always say that, okay, at least I went to a good school, which he mentioned by privilege, right? So you could look at regret. Okay, I didn't go to IIT. Instead, I went to some other college, which is okay, which is fine. At least I got to study. Whereas there are lots who cannot afford to go to college. So that's one way of thinking at it. And the other way of the flip side of it is, okay, if only I had studied at IIT, I would have been X, I would have been Y, kind of thing. So there are two parts. So whichever path that we decide to look at regret something is, we look at it and then we decide how to look at it. So that's one way of handling regret. So again, any thoughts or opinions on this? That's two things. Either positive, you can look at it and say that, okay, that at least I got this of that. This again comes back to a study that again a lot of people did on medal winners across sports. So they have found that people who won the bronze medal, this is based on photo studies. They looked at photos of a lot of sports and medal winners across the podium and the podium photographs that they took. And they found that the people who have the bronze medal are more happy than the people who got the silver medal. And he kind of pushes the idea that they are happy that at least I got a bronze medal. Whereas the silver medal are unhappy because if only I had been first, if I tried a little more, ran a little more quicker, or if I cycled a little more quicker, I would have been first. So that's one way of how he kind of puts this across. So I like to get people's thoughts on this.
Xavier, I think you should go around. I mean, go a little bit more. The reason why I'm saying is, I mean, in the first round of discussion that we had, all of us kind of exhibited that we don't have any regrets. I think because at least this happened.
Yeah.
I could have gone to IIT, but at least I went to Anna University. And that's how, so for me, what I don't know is, am I pacifying myself by kind of rationalizing the choices that I made and the life that turned out because of that particular thing? So I'm kind of rationalizing, at least this happened. I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm not bad. It could have been worse.
True. Yeah.
Right. I could have been born in Turkey and I could be under this thing. I mean, at least, so that's kind of like, I mean, rationalizing some of those things and it's like, I mean, dreaming of certain things. I mean, that's how it looks to me. So I would like to hear a little more what the author says about this.
Yeah. See, man is the rationalizing animal. So whatever decision we make, good or bad, we try to rationalize it however that we want to suit our needs or our point of view. So that's how he comes back to this and says that how you deal with it, there are two ways that people deal with it, right? Any regret, when you look at it, it's either an at least thought or an if only. So which will give you either a positive spin or a negative spin to it. So it's how you deal with it. This again, he tries to give us some ideas how you can work with regret, not like shy away from it or run away from that particular emotion. Like how you, instead of say dodging it or like sticking with, oh no, if I had done this, I would have been. So he's trying to give us an idea of how to work with it. And one of the ways, like at least is one option if you want to give a positive spin. The other option is like, how do you use that as a catalyst for any future behavior that you do? So that's you're learning from regret or doing it. So he gives three kind of options to deal with regret, and he also tells you why it is better. See, it can having a regret can help you make a better decision the next time around if by chance you get a similar thing. For example, Joyce was telling about recordings, right? It gives her that regret. Okay, I could have done this better the last time. Now that regret can now push her forward to do a better decision, better presentation by looking at something else. So that's something, and it also can boost performance. So it can be a help you do better. Then it can also help you deepen your understanding of yourself, right? Why do you feel regret, or what is the emotions that are triggering that particular mode of regret? And he gives that basically there are 4 core regrets that we have. One is I'll just read them out, so I kind of explain it. One is called the foundation regret, and the other one is called boldness regret. Then there is a moral regret or a connection regret. I'll just go through that once to give a more understanding of what it is. See, a foundation regret is something that, okay, if I had done this particular thing, I would have been happy, kind of a thing. So that's your foundation regret. So something that tells you, okay, if I had been a better person, I would have not been in this situation, or something like those kind of regrets. There are these boldness regrets. Joseph mentioned that if I had if I had started a company in particular in Belgium, right? In Belgium, I would have been something else. So that is a boldness, if I had taken that risk, kind of a thing. And then there is this moral regret, which, okay, if I had not betrayed somebody, or if I hadn't been a better person, kind of thing. So these are moral stuff. So if you look at it, okay, I shouldn't have lied at that particular place, shouldn't have stolen from somebody. All those are moral, which deal with morality. And there are connection regrets, right? So, okay, if I had talked with my dad before he passed away, I would have been happy. He would have been good. Or if I had talked with my brother or a sister or any friend. So those are regrets that when we fail to connect. Though these are the 4 types of regrets that are, he explains it as, this is again based on his analysis of the results that he got from his regret survey. So we cannot like blindly apply this as a template for all our regrets that we have, but this is what he is coming in from. Based on his service, he is kind of categorizing it as 4 types of regrets. So just to reiterate, foundation regrets are something that are at core of your person. If I had done this, or kind of thing. Boldness is, okay, if I had taken a risk, consider it with risk or growth. Moral is like, okay, if I had done the right thing, if I'd been a good person, kind of a thing. Connection is, okay, if I'd reached out, or if I had connected with somebody. So if you look at the regrets that you have in your life, or from anybody else's life that you know of, you can probably categorize it as these 4 regrets, these 4 types of regrets. He calls this the deep structure of regret. That's a term that he uses in this particular one. So does anybody have any other type of regrets, or any other categories of regrets that probably from your life or from more that we can discuss?
Anyone? From what I heard beginning, I don't think anybody has any regret. So I don't think we can categorize.
No, I think it was the fear of connection regret that I don't beef with anybody. And I think, I try to be the first one to go talk, or, say sorry, and all that is because I do not like, I've seen connection regrets, and I feel like that is a really bad place to be in life. And this is only one life. So I think connection regret was the biggest thing that I connected to at a young age. And my character kind of transformed from that point.
I agree with Padma. For a very long time, I mean, I think even now I'm an introvert, so I don't. So it's kind of connection and boldness. I'm now, probably because I'm a CTO and that I have grown and I have kind of tasted few things, I'm a little more bolder than what I was to connect with people. But I think even now I take a very, very long time to do things, especially the connections. Other things, probably I don't mind trying out things, but yeah, like, I mean, other things. Anyone else wants to add anything? Sukhvinder, Priya. Xavier, I have yeah, Priya, you want to add anything? Okay. Xavier, while you were saying this, I know as humans, all of us are, I mean, across regions, probably we are same, regions and cultures, we are same. But I am like this 5,000 survey that he did and the research he did, I'm assuming it will be all mostly North American.
Yeah, he did 2 surveys. One was the American survey, which is again North Indian. Then there was this other one that is the worldwide survey. So he had people from all over the world jumping into provide.
Okay. So my when I read all of these, because Dan Pink also, he has written other books as well, and I've read some of the other psychological research kind of books as well. I know how many of them are both the things, right? I mean, the categorization as well as the prescription. I don't know how many of them are applicable across culture, across age groups also. So let's say, for example, I'm 80 now. Probably the way I'm thinking about regrets will be very different than what probably now I'm at the middle of the thing. I'm not too young, I'm not too old, and I am probably like, I mean, well-to-do in that particular sense. So my I mean, all of us, right? I mean, Apu, Padma, everybody, like Sukhvinder, Joy, all of us, we are in that middle phase. We are not too old, we are not too young. And we are like, okay, you know, we are kind of matured. So we, even if we have some boldness, regret, okay, tomorrow I can do that. Yes, I didn't do it yesterday, but you know, tomorrow I can do it. Next time when I go home, I can do it. So there is still time, you know. So I don't know whether that plays any role in here.
Yeah, see, if you look at, I mean, look at human, all of us, right? We are across multiple. You could be a son, you could be a parent, you could be a spouse. So all are multiple roles. So each one will have. You are an employee, you are a boss. You can be a citizen. You can be a friend. You can be an investor, or and some other any different roles, right? Each role might have a different what to say. I wouldn't say I would put the word, but you will have something that, okay, if I as a son, maybe I could have felt, okay, I could have been a better son somewhere down the line. It might not happen today. Probably it might happen 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line. As you said, when we grow old, we might regret, okay, looking at my relationship with my father or my mother, I might say, okay, I could have been a better son. Or maybe we could look at it, okay, I could have been a better father to my son, or a better mother to my son or daughter. So it depends, right? So all of these one, again, the regret need not be something that you what to say, carry the whole weight of the world kind of regret. It could be a small regret. Okay, Padma was saying that, okay, was saying that she did not have a connection regret at all because she was the first one to. So now she does not have it. She need not have it. But whereas some other, I might have something, okay, maybe I should have talked to my say probably since my mom is not here, I could have probably, now I still have a regret. Okay, maybe I should have spent a little more time with her or talked to her, spoke with her. So those are regrets that you have to carry it, and you cannot like do anything about it right now.
So right? in that line of thought, one thing that I always wonder, there is always something that you could have done better.
Yes.
See, as all of you know, I only work 3 days a week. Rest of the time I spend with my boys. But again, now since they have become older, I spend less time. But I always think maybe they'll grow up and say, who needed your time? We needed money. You could have gone and maybe if they say it, maybe that time I will regret, right? That maybe I should have gone to work and gave them a better life than spending time with them, right? So the point that I'm trying to say is, you could have always done more than what you have done, right? Let's say, for example, if I was working all the days, weekends I spend time with them, and weekends, say for example, full weekend I spent with them, taking them to church, taking them to parks, and anywhere. Like, I mean, all of the time I spent with them, I could still have a regret saying that, oh my God, I missed his first Holy Communion. I missed his first football match. I could always have that kind of a thing, right? I mean, you could always do more than what you have done. So I don't know where it falls into that particular thing.
That is to say that's what we cannot change the past. We can only possibly bandage the wounds that it creates.
No, even in the future, right? See, there is only so much you
can
could
do.
spend time. I mean, we all have only 24 hours. We all have only so much money. Like my son, younger son, whenever he wants to fly first class. If I had the money to fly first class, probably he will ask for a private jet. So there is always a bigger boat that we can all aspire to, right? So I don't know where that limit is for the regret is the question that
I'll just come back to that part 3, right? Part 3 of his book tells about how we can remake regret to be a positive emotion, which will, I think, might answer a couple of questions, if not all. It's not a panacea. So see, everybody will do something that we'll regret. You cannot stop it. Something that we do today or tomorrow or farther down the future, we will do something that we wish we have not done, or we could also wish, okay, I should have done this later point. So forget, that's all. But see, regret is always in the past, things that we do in the past. So we can ask what now? What can I do to fix that regret if it is something that I can take an action on? For example, if I cannot go back and have a talk with my mother now, that's not possible. But I can always practice self-compassion and tell me, okay, this is what I can do. I can be positive in this, rather than looking at, okay, I should have done this better, or I should have done that better. So we can practice self-compassion for us, for our mental health and all that. And then if, let us say, we have an actionable item or actionable regret, right? Regret that you said something that you really didn't want to mean to. Maybe it could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your son or daughter or parents. So you can always go and ask sorry. You can go and ask sorry. You can see if you can fix that, right? That's fixable. So that's one way of getting rid of that regret baggage from your life. That's one action. We don't have a control Z, right? Undo button in life. So if there is an option to undo that, then go ahead and do it. That's one way of dealing with regret or reducing that regret baggage from your life. That's one thing. As I said, self-compassion, the things that you cannot do anything about, you can practice self-compassion, and then you say that, okay, this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do, and I'm okay with it. I'll accept it and I'll be happy with it. So that's one way of reducing your regret baggage. Then let us say there was a regret of boldness, which means, okay, risk taking or something like that. So we could always look at, okay, this opportunity is gone, right? How can I ensure that I don't miss that similar opportunity the next time around? So you can use your regret of a missed opportunity to fuel your next, to ensure that you don't miss out on the same thing the next time around. That's one way of looking at it. And reconnect with people, especially people that we have lost touch with. That's another way of dealing with your connection regrets. That's something, a couple of suggestions that he provides. Other than this, if does anybody have a suggestion or a way that you can do that?
One of the things that you talked about, right? I mean, whether you can make amends. You really cannot go and change the past, but you can learn from it and you can do something. This I have posted on LinkedIn. I have shared with few people. Is that so when I came into college, I couldn't speak in English. I studied in Tamil medium for a very long time, and the whole thing were only Tamil. And when I came to college, I couldn't speak in English. So in the first year, there was a guy, my desk mate, Basha, and the English lecturer will, give a topic. We have to speak only in English. Obviously, I can't speak, so he will write down. Sometimes initially he will write down the entire sentence. This is what you should say, and then I will, read it, and then I'll sometimes write it in Tamil and I will say it. But he did that repeatedly, and over the period, he could just write certain points, and then I will tell him the points, and he will write, this is the word that you should use, and then so on and so forth. And it helped me a lot to give me confidence to stand up and speak and so on and so forth. And I kind of improved upon it. And after the college, I practiced it. Again, it's all pre-Facebook era. And immediately after the college, I think after a year or so, he went to Saudi Arabia and we lost touch. I mean, completely lost touch. Every time I would speak publicly, I would think of him. It is because of Basha's, all of these things. And I would say, I should somehow send an email or whatever it is. But he never came back to our college Facebook or anything. I mean, he was completely aloof and everything. Only later I found out that he was suffering from cancer and he also passed away. So I never had a chance to tell him that you helped me to be what I am. So that was a big regret for a very, very long time for me. But what I learned from that is now, if I have to thank somebody, I do not hesitate at all. I do not pause. I immediately, probably I say thank you a lot to many people. Sometimes people might think, this guy keeps thanking. The reason is because of this. I don't want to miss an opportunity to convey my thanks to people who have somehow helped me to be what I am. So in that particular sense, for this book reviews and all the other community activities as well, I keep, pinging you guys on WhatsApp thanking. Primarily, it comes from that. I don't want to miss an opportunity to thank, to convey that how you have helped me in that. So that's one way that what, Dang Pink is talking about.
Yeah. The other option, this is one framework that he gives us. He gives a 3-step framework. One is you disclose the regret. Okay, write it down or tell it to somebody, or just framing it. Okay, disclose. Okay, I regret not being able to talk with Basha. That's one, you're disclosing it. Then you can use it to reframe how we view that and us. Right? Okay, I miss making a connection with him or getting in touch with them. That's one way of looking at it. Then you take a lesson out of it, right? Okay, I decide this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to thank somebody right away as we do that. And this will help us, our subsequent decision making and all that. And so this 3-part progress, disclosure, then you have your reframing and your distance, how you build that distance between that regret and yourself. So that's a way of handling, a framework to handle regrets and help yourself move forward, right? Then you can also anticipate regret. That's something that he brings in at the end of his end of the book is, okay, if I don't do this, I might regret it a few years down the line. So, okay, so that helps you to avoid regret. And because you can anticipate it, or you can, from your past experiences, from your life lessons, then it helps you to take a decision quicker, right? Okay, now I didn't start my company 10 years down the line. Now, okay, now there is an option for me. I say if I've been laid off, okay, now this is the time for me to start my company. That's something that I might want to look at it, because he calls it an anticipated regret. So it can help you be better, and take more, he tries to link it to be more decision making, where you can be a better person and also take better decisions at the same time. In the list case, there's always the option of at least, right? Okay. My entire team was laid off a couple of months back. First thing, there was a lot of anger and regret and all that. But now I kind of, okay, I cannot do anything about it. They were laid off. So, okay, at least I have my job right now. So I can think of that. Now, next time, if there's any opportunity, then I can look forward from it. Okay, why was I was safe? So why was I safe? Now, is there anything that I can learn from it? And I can move forward from that. So it's just that regret and how you package it or how you anticipate it is something that helps you become a lot more, dealing with the negative emotion.
Xavier, so Jeff Bezos calls this as a regret minimization framework. And you quoted that particular thing. So when I, in about, 2013 or so, 14 or so, so I told you I had to come back from Belgium without setting up a company and all of that. So in about 2014 or so, I got an opportunity to start a startup. Again, there were a lot of risk factors and everything. I said, I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I'll regret for the rest of my life. I was in I was serving government of India. I was doing well. Money was good. All of those things were good. But I knew I will regret not doing this. So that's how I came to Panchkula. That's how I started. 2 years, I lost all of my savings. But I do not regret doing that because I know for sure subsequently, all my life, I will not regret attempting that or not attempting that. Thankfully, again, see, I think it also has to do with, thankfully, things worked out okay. I was able to find another job. I was able to come back to the employment and so on and so forth. So probably now I can distance it and say, at least I tried it. I only lost life-saving, nothing else. I didn't lose my kidney. So I could laugh about it and I can move forward. But yeah, like now, anticipated risk, regret and regret minimization is something that I used.
Now I'd like to ask people who have been silent just to share their thoughts.
So this is Krishna. Just one question to Joseph now, because he told about this, right? Like, did you now regret that, okay, in the startup, when you are doing the startup, like, had you done something right or wrong, the way, you could have done it differently, things like that. So, because that also is part of the regret thing, right? Like, because one thing is at one level, at least you started out and you persisted for 2 years. You tried and it didn't work out or whatever it can be the reason. But is there a subsequent thing, like subset of that, like, okay, had I done this, it would have worked, something like that. Is that another sort of a regret thing within the overall thing?
Yeah, good question, KK. So what happened was after about, we started this, we built the product, we went we showed, and then people liked it and so on and so forth. But after about 3/4 of the time, our funds dried out. We tried raising from VCs. I met people. None of those worked. So I wanted to quit at that time. I had a long talk with my mentor, investor, took a walk. Then I said, okay, I'm going to give one more shot. This time I'm going to give whatever I know and I'm going to be as bold as I can. I'm going to talk to people, read whatever I need to read. I'm going to do everything. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to quit. And I'm not going to look back with regrets. So I stayed back again for probably like about 4 months. Every single day, I called somebody, I met somebody, whatever I could do, I did for that 4 months. I actually completely burnt me out in the sense of in a positive sense. Yeah, I want to make this happen and I don't want to have any regrets later on. I did that. It did not work. And I also had one another thing I learned from Virgin founder, Richard Branson, is that he says you need to have an exit clause. So I put an exit clause for me. I said 4 months, I'm going to give the best that I have. I'm going to do everything that I could think of, even beyond my comfort zone. By that 4 months, if I have one paying customer, I'm going to continue. Otherwise, I'm going to quit. It didn't happen. So that was my exit criteria, and I hit it, and then I quit. So I don't have any regrets. Good question, KK. Anyone else wants to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to add that what I consider it to be a realization. If I have done something in the past which is bothering me, I usually take it as I have realized it. I have got aware to it that that went wrong, and I could. It's more of a reviewing sort of thing, and I could take better decisions in future. So that way I do it. And the hack I have for the things which I can't undo, I usually speak it out to someone very close, so that that's off my head. And that's from my side. Session is really good.
Thanks, Sukhwinder.
So-
Anyone else? Padma? Anyone else? KK, you asked a question. You should also answer.
I am in a regret stage. So,
Meanwhile, in the chat, I shared the survey. When you have time, if you look at it, you can even look at people from different countries what they regret. So it's based on his survey results. I think 16,000, more than 16,000 people around the world. So you can also see what people in one particular country regretted. So if you want to say do business in one country, you might want to look at, okay, what do people in Nigeria regret? Something like that. So this is based on just to I don't know, maybe tell it in a nutshell. See, there are 3 avenues that you can deal with regret. One is you can just ignore it. You can just ignore that regret, and I think that path is fraught with dangers kind of thing, because it will come back and be at your mind, and it will be there. Second is you can just feel that regret. So which will again, okay, which will be a cyclic negative loop, and it will lead you to despair or depression kind of thing. When you, okay, I could have done this. So now you start questioning every decision that you take, and think of that. If you decide, I just want to feel regret, and leave it off. The other way is for thinking and doing. So you can think about that regret, and then from that thinking you can come up with an action, and then you can take a better decision. You can improve whatever you perform, maybe your life, your performance in some activity or something like that, and basically be a better person. That's the 3 things that you can deal with regret. So which path is left to each one, right? It's left to you to decide what you want to do with each. And yeah, mostly that's kind of the entire thing, framework of this story, of this particular book, is that regret is not to be something that we have to be scared of, or think of it as negative. You could think of it as something that help you move forward in life, because that's the reason why the book has that subtitle of how looking backward can help you move forward. So that's the thing. That's it about this particular book. I have not given a lot of examples because, and I have also not given a lot of things because I just want you to go and read this book, so that you gain, because it's, see, what I read and convey is my experiences, and it's my opinions shared with that. So I think each one of you will have a lot of takeaways from this particular book. That's it. And this again, I told it in the last quit, when I spoke about quit, is also that now the last couple of years, I think probably post-pandemic stuff, people are more dealing with emotions, writing about emotions a lot more than it was before the pandemic. It was all like productivity, self-help was positive spin on things, how to be a better this and all that. But I don't know, because of the pandemic or the thing, or people are trying to writing books about emotions, bad decisions, or quitting. And there is this bittersweet. There's one book called Susan Cain, Bittersweet, which I plan to read a little, but I haven't completed it. It's again how you deal with a particular emotion of thing. So I don't. This is something that I have been noticing since the pandemic. Books about emotions and mental fortitude is there compared to all the productivity. Do 10 things. Eat or what was that book? Eat the Frog, or those kind of books, productivity related books. Now it's more of a self-help or the mental health kind of books that are coming out.
I think it is also good. I think on one side, people are also trying to be contrarian just to run things. But then I think now there is also openness and acceptability of talking about mental health. Even within India. Earlier, if we would say, I have this, oh, he's a mental. They will categorize you with that. But now I think there's a lot more openness to talk about all of those kinds of stuff. So I think it is good. In general, it is good. KK, you wanted to add anything?
I had 3 points. So one, I think it's a nice book. I had good takeaways from whatever little David shared, even though he said he has not shared so much. But I think it's a good starting point for most of us to think about it. The second observation, we are now last thing he made was about the post-pandemic, the emotions a lot of people are going through and stuff like that. I think that's also a nice thing to see, and it is also coming from Western thinkers, because they were generally more about capitalism and the productivity and stuff like that. So coming from there, I think that's also a welcome change, and I think that good to see that acknowledgement happening. My third is like a little bit of a question. See, a lot of things, these are more of what we read are from Western world. Like, for example, if we go through some of our Indian stuff, right? Like, for example, meditation or whatever, right? Like, in your own way, religious stuff. Like, for example, I had done a 10-day Vipassana course. So there they talk about being in the present and giving your whatever, living in the moment stuff. So in that context, will there be any regret at all, because you are living life to the fullest at that point of time, being present at that moment? I know there will be certain decisions you'll take which will lead to certain things, but how do you see this, right? Like between that, these are something like age-old philosophies of the Eastern world, and how do we see that in this context?
Zevi, you want to answer?
Yeah. See, all across the world, right? All cultures have humans, and humans have emotions, right? And that emotion, typically, most of these books again are written by Westerners, and all that is acceptable. That's we shouldn't regret it. But we also have our own, as you said, we have this curriculum. We have a lot of these books that are written in India. And again, if you look at it from this aspect of it, okay, what do they tell about regret? You'll find the same answers. Some of the answers are going to be common across the world. And this book, one more thing I missed about this book is this book has a lot of quotes, actual quotes from people, what they regretted. So based on that survey, right? So again, that site has that information. So you can probably look at, narrow down to a particular country and look at culturally what they what do they regret. But see, all of these scriptures or books, age-old books, mythological books, or historical books have the same things. That's not going to change just because we talked about connection regret, right? All of them across the world, whether he's in China or if he's in some deep part of Africa or the Western world. All of them have this connection to regret. All of us have, because we are all same. We are all the same, right? It's just that by virtue of country or a culture, we are different, but underneath that, emotions that we feel are the same. It is not like Indians don't feel anger or rage kind of thing, and all the Europeans are calm, peaceful persons. It's not like that, right? So all of us have the same set of emotions. So we have the same set of emotions which are triggered by different things, but the emotions are the same. So as you look at these books, right, you look at any of our books, there would be answers for all these emotional items. So it doesn't matter how we come to it, as long as we come to it. The paths might be different, but the answer to that is going to be the same across all books.
I differ a bit here, Xavier, from a philosophical point of view. Is that, but let me address this. KK, you are absolutely right. I think we have, at least I grew up in Tamil literature, so I don't know. So what I'm speaking is with respect to what I know in Tamil literature, not that Hindi or other literature did not have, because I'm not exposed to it. So if you see Tamil literature, they will largely fall into two of the categories. One is the directives, which is like Thirukural, which is very directive kind of a thing, right? Then there are narratives, Manimegalai, Kannagi, Kavyam, all of those things are all narratives of that. And between these two, I think they have covered all of the things that we could actually talk about. So to give an example, Manimegalai and the king, which is nothing but that regret kind of a stuff. Like, I made a mistake. Kannagi and the king.
Yeah.
The king feels remorse and regret and then he dies, right? That's nothing but that particular thing. And again, there's a lot of emotion that are built into that narrative in all of these stories, right? Any of the stories and the epics that we have, all of them are into that, right? So that's one. I think Indian literature in general has very high spectrum and a rainbow of emotions. It's just that we don't study them enough. If we take time to study them, I think probably we will see a lot more depth of wisdom in these literatures. The problem is we will not use charcoal to brush our teeth, but when we see the same thing packaged in Amazon, we will give $10 and buy it. That's our nature. So tomorrow somebody repackages Thirukural, we will go and buy it. But we ourselves will not, read Thirukural, so to speak. That's one. Two, from a philosophical point of view, if you see, I'm a favorite of, there's a podcast, Good Faith podcast. So this guy contrasts, and there is also an essay called Jerusalem and Athens. Athens, the Greece, is primarily on rationalization. It is a rational belief. Humans are rational. So you have to approach everything rationally. But whereas Jerusalem, the Eastern philosophy, is much more narrative. He says, we are not directives. You cannot give directives. It's all have to be all of that. What you have to do in life will have to be packaged in narratives. So if you see a lot of Greek culture, Greek literature, it will all boil down to directives. But if you see a lot of Eastern culture, literature, it'll be a lot more to do with narratives, because you cannot just give things in directives. That's the idea. The larger idea. The second idea that he says, and I still believe, Western world is a lot more to do with contracts. You do this, I do this, we will do this. It's a contract, and the contract is broken, you're done. Kind of a thing, right? I take you to court. But most of the Eastern philosophy is based on covenant. Covenant is always an emerging one. And in covenant, there is always space for mistakes. You can make mistake, I can make mistake. As long as we don't break the trust in between, we can continue to evolve towards a new future. Right? So so fundamentally, from a belief point of view, there's a huge difference between these two things. one of the thing, like, I mean, I'm very hesitant to bring this in, but like, I mean, because of the discussion I'm bringing in, if you see in a biblical standpoint, the future is evolving. So what it says is, it starts with a garden, but ends with a city. The Bible, the New Testament ends with a city, which means it's a covenant. It is not a contract. It's a covenant that is emerging. So underlying philosophy itself is a very different thing between Western philosophy and Eastern philosophy. That's what I would say. We are 8 o'clock now. Anyone wants to make any final comments? Anything? Sukhwinder, KK, Sharanya, thank you for joining in. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments?
No, nothing, Joseph. I just joined like 10 minutes back. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Like, I did not expect that this session will invoke so much of discussions, but I'm glad there were a lot of discussions around these things. So thank you, Xavier, for moderating and igniting this kind of discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Captain Arparaj, Sukhwinder, KK, Priya, Rajneesh, Joyce, and Sharanya for joining in. Thank you very much. Lovely to have